The White House has unveiled a plan to improve school safety in the wake of the Parkland shooting last month. The recommendations include local law enforcement providing rigorous firearms training for specially qualified school staffers and establishing a federal commission on school safety, chaired by Education Secretary Betsy DeVos. But the proposal did not call for raising the minimum age to purchase certain firearms, which the president previously called for. I spoke with House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy on Sunday Morning Futures. He weighed in on the legislative action Congress is taking to make schools safer.
We need to start enforcing what we have, but more importantly, we need to make sure the background checks are updated, and that's the bill we passed in December, and now we're adding to it with Stop School Violence. And the bill we're passing this week, the Sandy Hook Promise, they endorse this bill as well.
Do you want to see teachers armed?
I think from a perspective, not force teachers to be armed, but if somebody has a concealed carry permit and others and trained, I want to see it.
Joining us right now is Fox News senior judicial analyst Judge Andrew Napilitano. Judge, great to see you.
Good morning.
What's your take on this?
Well, God, I've been arguing for years that no gun zones are killing zones. They are the most dangerous places on the planet, and they should not exist. The government should not be in a position to disarm us because the bad guys know it's like shooting fish in a barrel. The Las Vegas concert. Even though it's very easy to carry in Las Vegas, you can't carry a gun at the concert. The San Bernardino, California office building, the Orlando nightclub, all these school shootings are no gun zones. They should be called killing zones, and I'm in favor of getting rid of them. Now, listen, not every person that works in a school is emotionally or even physically capable of carrying a weapon and going through the training. You know how frequently you have to train. It's an expirable skill. You must train on a regular basis. But certain people, certain teachers, certain staff, certain coaches should be able to do that. In Parkland, that wonderful big teddy bear of a guy who saved students the gym teacher by throwing his body over them. He had a handgun at home, perfectly legal in Florida
to own. At home?
Yes, but he couldn't bring it to school. If he had it with him, with that level of courage, he would have been able to save more people. It only would have taken one shot.
I didn't realize that he had a handgun at home.
Yes. So I'm 1,000% with the president on this. How can the president do it? How can the government do it? Money. By giving money to the states to train and arm certain people who are ready, willing, and able to do it.
And people are losing their minds talking as if this is Trump's personal idea. The first time this has been floated. And we've been talking about this for a long time.
Yes, we have.
Well, he's the first president. About bump stocks. Attorney General Jeff Sessions took a step toward banning bump stocks over the weekend by submitting a notice to the Office of Management and Budget. The president proposed banning bump stocks following the shooting in Parkland. Do you predict there's going to be more proposals in terms of bump stocks?
Well, I'm not crazy about the president using his executive authority to ban things. I think this should be done, if at all, by Congress. However, the law, this is nothing that President Trump did. The law that it was when he became president allows him to redefine bump stocks so as to make them illegal. Now, I don't know if they can confiscate stocks that now exist. You'd probably have to pay people for them, the fair market value, because the Fifth Amendment prohibits a taking. But let me point out to you a paragraph in District of Columbia versus Heller, Justice Scalia's 5-4 opinion characterizing the right to keep and bear arms as a personal individual right. When he talks about what kind of arms can you own, answer, arms of the same level of sophistication as the bad guys and as the government. How did we win the revolution? Because we had better long guns than the Brits did. So if the government has automatic weapons, should certain Americans be able to have them as well? That's the answer.
That's a hard one.
I know. That's why I'm suggesting Congress should debate that. It shouldn't be an executive or a bureaucratic decision.
So, Judge, what a lot of conservatives are worried about with this whole bump stock proposed ban is that gun control advocates are never satisfied. So today it's this, tomorrow they're going to want to ban semi-automatic weapons, and before you know it, we're all left with muskets. Do you think that this, proposal or this idea that Trump is considering could lead to more gun control in the future?
I understand that argument, and of course I share that argument and often make it. There are so few bump stocks in the country as far as we can tell. I don't think that that will begin the slippery slope. I'm more interested in the academic argument. If the government can have this kind of weapon, and the government is taken over by bad people, and the bad people in the government want to confiscate our weapons from us, we need to have the same weapons with which to resist. Admittedly, this is an extreme circumstance that only happened in the United States once during the time of the Civil War. It's happened in Europe many times. I don't know where it's going to go, but there's no political support for bump stocks now.
Judge,
so it's a no-lose for the president.
Judge, real quick, as it relates to regulating and overseeing weapons, is it become a federal issue or is it a state issue ultimately?
Right now, Mitch, it's both. So right now, the federal government sets a bottom line and the states can increase it. In my home state of New Jersey, all of these regulations that are being talked about as a result of the Parkland massacre already exist because New Jersey is the most restrictive state in the union. So the states can't allow more freedom than the federal government permits, but they can restrict it.
Let me switch gears, Judge, and ask you about this story on Zero Hedge this morning that's being tweeted around. This is from former CIA officer and whistleblower Kevin Shipp. He says the reason for all the crime and treason at the FBI and the DOJ boils down to one thing: the Clinton so-called charity. He is attacking the Clinton Foundation and the Clinton Global Initiative today, saying Hillary Clinton was running a secret server outside the Department of State for the purpose of laundering money through the criminal Clinton Foundation. He thinks this is going to end in indictments.
I hope it ends in indictments. I believe that the Clinton Foundation is a criminal enterprise.
You do.
I don't have the facts that he does because so much of this has been kept below the surface. But the anecdotal evidence of what she and he, Hillary and Bill, got away with would never really happen to anyone. In many, many states in which they collected tax-free funds, they were not authorized to do so. In many, many states, the level of money that they spent on themselves would not permit them to characterize this as a charity.
Versus how much they gave away, you're saying.
Correct,
yeah,
correct.
Exactly.
And when you're no longer a charity, then you can't receive tax-free funds. I'll tell you what, aside from them getting indicted, the second worst thing that can happen to them, clawback. All those people who gave all those billions now have to pay taxes on that money.
I sent you the Zero Hedge story. I'd be interested in your thoughts once you look through it.
I appreciate it, and I'll look at it.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure, guys.
See you, sir. Judge Andrew Napolitano.